Hello to all of the Seton Catholic School's 5th and 6th grade artists. Today we are creating a contour line drawing. I like to use these as bookmarks, but for you, you could use this for anything you'd like. I'll give you a little picture of what it looks like on a background. This is a contour line drawing. And when I say the word contour line, what do you hear? Contour. Contour is shape. And in this case, the contour lines, the lines are creating a three-dimensional shape. So although this is just a two-dimensional piece of paper, the lines are creating the illusion that this is a three-dimensional bulbous, that's a good word, almost like yarn that is bunched up in pieces along the way, or as my daughter said, it could look like hair. Because if you need theatrical hair in a pinch, maybe this could work. All right, so for today's project, we are going to need a Sharpie marker. We are also going to need some paper, not just one piece of paper, but at least 2 or 3 so that your Sharpie marker does not go through onto the table you're drawing on. You will need a rainbow of colored pencils, or any colored pencils you're choosing, I guess. You will need a scissors, and I briefly use my graphite pencil for a short moment. And let's get started. Our norms for art class. Make your space your own. This is your chance to work. This is your time to do your schoolwork. Try to find a place where you are undisturbed, and if that's not possible, make sure that you try to use your earphones, put on some music, do something to make your mental space your own. Do not seek out perfection, especially on this project. It kind of looks neat when you are imperfect. Work with your mistakes, not against them. Work as long as you would like. We have time to be flexible. We do not have to go when your class period is over. Engage with your work and persist until the end. As always, this is art class, so we anticipate mistakes. We respect the creative process, and we try until we are satisfied. So let's get started. Okay, so here's my paper, my pencil. I've got colored pencils, multiple colors, a Sharpie, and we're going to get started by just drawing a wandering line. I'm going to keep myself in the top, in that middle third of the paper. But I don't want it to necessarily just go straight. So using my graphite, I'm going to draw the line first. And it's just sort of a wandering line. I don't want it to be perfect. Remember, perfection is definitely not what we're going for. So on that line, I'm going to put, I got 6 colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. So I'm going to put 5 dots to separate out 6 segments. And then right at the edges, I'm also going to, these are the segments of my dot. And right at the end, I'm also going to put dots. So one at this end, and then one over here at this end. Now, I'm just going to take my permanent marker and trace over this initial line. And it doesn't have to be perfect. But then I'm going to mark off those dots. I can see them just barely. I'm going to make them a little bit bigger so that I know where they are. Okay, and here's the beginning. I start from 1 dot, and I'm going to make a small little hop from one dot to the next. Hop here, and this one I just stay pretty much as close to that line as possible. And I just keep going all the way across the page to the end. And then from this end I can start going right backward, making hops on the other side of my original line, hopping one segment at a time. And I just keep trying to make sure that as I go across the page, I add one set of hops on one side, and then another set of hops on the other. So as long as I go on this side, the next time around, I'll go on the other. And I'm just going to speed it up so that you can see me going around on both sides again. And I'm just making sure to hop from one dot to the next. My lines are not perfect. Them being imperfect actually gives this project a little bit of texture, and that's a really nice thing. So you just keep coloring as you go through, or drawing as you go through from one dot to the next. And these hops get a little bit easier as you make it through. So adding one side to the next gives me a really nice texture, and this should be about all I need. And here we go. This is the picture, the final picture right here. So we've got our nice strip, not perfectly straight, of contour lines that are creating our shape. So now it's time to color in, and I'm going to mark one color for each segment: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. And I've got enough, and it's time to get started. So here we are. I'm going to take my red and I'm going to color in each segment one at a time with my gradient color technique. So that gradient color technique means that I'm going to color dark in one area, which I'm going to do right toward the very center where my original dot was. And as I color out, I'm going to get lighter. So this is going to give me the effect that everything is really dark toward the center, or that my shadows are toward the center, where the where less light would get in because things are bunched up, right? So this is going to increase the effect that my contour lines have had. So I'm going to color dark in the center, and as I move out, I'm coloring lighter. And I go one segment at a time, and I'm coloring down the segments, because if you color across the segments, you kind of lose that really nice, unique, individual flavor, where some of them are a little darker, some of them are a little bit lighter. You actually want that imperfection. And you also, it's really nice to have the pencil strokes going the same way as the segments, because this gives it a little texture that looks additionally like, you know, like a thread or hair. So to keep those things consistent really will make a difference in the drawing. And then I'm just going to feather it out like this. And I'll go to the other side once I'm satisfied, go to the other side and start drawing the same way. Now my pencil tip is not quite as sharp, but the texture in this is not as important. So here I don't need to have a perfect texture. I can kind of press harder if I need to. And And I like the imperfect texture, in fact, because as I'm coloring down, I get to see some of the pencil lines that I get when I'm coloring with a less than perfectly sharp pencil. So some of those texture lines you can kind of see, almost like it might be in cross-hatching, you know, you can see those pencil lines, and that's okay. That's actually a good thing. It looks like each one of those segments has many little hairs in it, possibly. So again, I just keep coloring dark and then light as I move out. And coloring light means that you really have to lift the pressure off your pencil. So here this looks pretty good. And I'm just going to keep coloring, feathering it out, and making sure that I've got most of these colored in the way I want them. All right, so now I'm going to make a shadow here by using my green, my complementary color. The complementary color of, the opposite color of red is green. So I'm going to come in with this dark green, and I am going to start coloring right in the center, just in the center, just kind of the darker areas. And I'm going to add in this shadow by using my complementary color, which is what we did last week with the fruit. So you can see the difference between the two sides. And as I start this side down here, you can really tell the difference and how that is making it extra dark in that area. So you can still see that it's red, but I've kind of colored over that green. So now I can get started on the next ones, and they'll go a little bit quicker since actually the red was my biggest segment. So these ones will go a little quicker, and again, like I said, it's not perfect, and I don't need it to be. Okay, so I'm going to speed up this film so that you can see me coloring again gradient dark to light with my orange, and my opposite color of orange is going to be blue. So I'm going to make sure again that I get my blue in here, and my complementary or opposite color is blue, so I'm putting my shadow in by dropping in just a little bit of blue, and there's that. So yellow. Yellow is a little trickier. It's a light color already to begin with. So what's the opposite color of yellow? It is, you guessed it, purple. So my purple is going to come in and just very lightly, because yellow is so light, I'm just going to shade in just a little bit to create that shadow. And now my green. This is the same green that I used with my red, and so now I'm going to use this, the red that I used down below will be my opposite color for my green, obviously, because they are opposite colors for one another. And so I'm going to color this one from dark to light from that center point, and as soon as I'm done, feather it out a little bit till I'm satisfied, and then bring in my red. And that red is just in the corners, just going to give me that depth of shadow. And still coloring one segment at a time, and dark at the center and light moving outward. I get my blue segment finished, and I add in, just like I did with my orange, I'm going to add in orange to the corners of the blue. And you can see as I'm adding it in how much that really transforms that shape. And last but not least, purple. And just like purple was the complementary color when I had done my yellow segment, now yellow is going to be the opposite, complementary, it's the same thing. It's going to be the opposite color here. So this just darkens that edge. And there we go. So you can see here we have all of the segments now set up here for you can see that the depth is created right in those shadows. So in the darkest corners, that's where we really create that idea that something is coming out and something is moving in, and that's, you can see that 3D effect right there. So at this point you can cut your picture out, and we'll see you in just a moment. I hope you guys really enjoyed this project. It's a lot of fun. You can do more like this. You can actually fill up an entire page of these. You can do them in different directions. I've seen lots of kids take this to a whole new level, but especially with that coloring, you get this beautiful look that adds so much depth. Just if you look, if I show you one more time, the difference just between the contour line drawing itself and then the added color with our complementary colored darkness in the corners, it really brings this a lot more depth and excitement. So I hope you guys have a great week, and once again I will see you next week. Have a great day. Take care.